Welcome to Backyard Oasis, the show that is all about water. On today's show, we will take an existing waterfall and upgrade its basic construction as well as add to it. This will give the homeowner a new view from the inside as well as create a more inviting outdoor room for entertaining guests. We will also hear from Fred Spicer, who will talk to us about elephant ears. And Chuck will give us some great tips on how to keep those water lilies healthy all summer long, so stay with us.
There's water in the brook running down to the stream. There's a bullfrog on the bank, baby, singing songs to me. There's fish down underneath that water, baby, saying, oh man, you'll never catch me. When water falling down from the sky up above makes everything green, makes my flowers fall in love. Saw a thorn in Mr. Rosebush, baby, saddle up to Miss Foxy Glove.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Firestone Pond Guard Rubber Liners.
Water running down the mighty Mississippi. Oh, water. You know there's some down there in Mobile.
We received a call from a homeowner who was having some renovations done and wanted to expand her waterfall and make it work with her home improvements. While her existing pond wasn't really bad, it wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. Notice how the waterfall wasn't shaped and the rocks just laid on top of the liner, leaving exposed areas. The skimmer box was also left exposed, revealing an ugly black box. The homeowner wanted to lengthen the stream and create a waterfall with impact. This new elevated walkway with its view down on the stacked rock wall gives us the perfect backdrop for our waterfall origin. After constructing the frame using concrete blocks and covering with liner, we covered it with rock that matched the existing wall. Expanding the stream required us to first relocate existing shrubbery as well as incorporate the stepping stone walkway as part of the stream. The existing stream bed had to be sculpted to form a uniform border for the new waterfall sides. This allows rock to lay at an even level with the existing soil and create a more natural looking fall.
It's time for a water break, but first Chuck has a tip on how to keep those water lilies healthy and strong.
All right, here I am, knee deep in water again. Who would have thunk, right? What we're going to go over today is some fertilization of water lilies. I really like to fertilize my lilies at least every 10 to 14 days. And the fertilizer that I like to use, this is a little spike of fertilizer called a lily balm. And this particular manufacturer has an extremely high amount of phosphorus in this little balm tablet here, a 5-26-5, which nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are the three nutrients that are listed in that order. And the nitrogen promotes the foliage growth. The phosphorus produces the lily growth, and then the potassium encourages the root growth. So of course, in any type of a showy plant, we want to get that highest middle number, which is going to be that phosphorus that's going to promote all the blooms. And you can see by the number of blooms that are open, by the number of blooms that are still here, that are coming up. I mean, I can count probably, 6 or 8 more blooms, 9, 10, 12 blooms here that are ready to go. So coming in and fertilizing these lilies once every 10 to 14 days is the key to keeping all your lilies on a real high blooming frequency. So what I'll do is determine by the size of the pot, and in this pot I've probably got a about a 14-inch, 16-inch diameter pot, I'll come in and put in 4 of these spikes spaced around the root of the plant itself. And what will happen a lot of time also is you may come in and you put your finger down in there, and these roots are so tight, you've got to take this spike, and that's why I like to use this spike, and just shove it down in there. And I mean, I'm talking about shove it and shove it hard. And I get it roughly, when I get it started, I'll push it to about my first knuckle depth on my thumb into the mud. And then I'll take my other fingers and pack that hole full of dirt. Because what you don't want to happen is you don't want this lily balm to sit there and have all that fertilizer leaching out into the water. And of course, if you get all those nutrients leaching out into the water, that's going to produce us a lot of green water. And we know what happens when we get green water. We can't see our fish and it gets scummy, and we don't like that. So just remember, during that fertilization, once every 10 to 14 days, push that plug down in there about half a knuckle deep. Be sure and pack dirt back on it, and stand back and watch them grow.
Welcome back. Well, this project went extremely quickly, so Chuck is going to give us some of the details on what was done to upgrade this backyard oasis.
Right now, I'd like to go over a lot of the final finished techniques that we've done, just to kind of give you an update. We didn't have a whole lot of time during this project. It went so fast, we weren't able to get the minute, minute-by-minute shots of it. But most important factors of redoing this pond, as well as any new construction, is the coping. You can see how that on this side there was a shear wall. So we didn't have, because we were utilizing the liner that was already existing, we didn't have the extra liner to do a coping shelf. So in this instance, we ended up and just brought the wall straight up from the bottom, which provides the same effect. It's just a little extra work, and if you're doing it from scratch, it's much easier to do the coping shelf. But in this instance, we just brought the wall straight up. We still utilized the skimmer box that was initially on the project, and you can see how it's kind of sucked the hyacinth over into one corner. As we came around the sides here, we just did do solid coping on this side. We had enough liner here that we're able to get our regular coping in. The waterfall itself, we widened it considerably. Some of the previous during construction shots, you can see how we actually had to widen the waterfall out itself to almost 5 foot in width. That sounds like a terribly large area to cover, but you can see by the size of some of these rocks that we used, you had to go that large. That also gives you the ability to use some really nice large landscaping rocks, and that's really what makes the project look as natural as possible, not using a lot of small, tiny, just multitudes of stacked rocks. My philosophy is, hey, if you can use one rock instead of 3, the better off you are. So we widened the waterfall. We utilized the pond shape basically the way it was. We just deepened the sides a little bit. We did the coping here, but also on this front side, Ms. Harrington wanted the ability to plug in some plant material and really do a natural look to it. So we went back in with the natural moss rock to help build and stabilize the walls of the pond, but we were also able to keep these planting pockets. So she had a great area to come back in and plant ferns, some impatiens, and some plants that I don't know the name of that grow outside of water, so I have an excuse not to know the name of those. But just really, really finished out extremely well. Every little nook and cranny, she's got something growing. All right, you can see the way that we've got the stream as it appears out from underneath the walkway. It's just got a real natural flow and an undulating effect. The water just comes out and just naturally curves. We got a few little drops, nothing real harsh. I honestly take the time when I go on some hikes, and I'll stop at every stream and really study, the way that nature has created a waterfall of its own, and that's basically what we try to create here. Just get that slow, shallow. You don't want anything real narrow and rushing. You can see the width of the stream itself. Again, like I said, we started off with 5 foot of width, and you can see with the size of some of these rocks, you know, you're dealing with 18 to 2 foot on some of them, so that eats up a lot of area real quickly. But also the effect of having, you know, the water being able to spread out and get a real gentle flow, and it just has a great natural sound to it. This is probably one of the most difficult portions of the job. It is trying to figure out how to make this waterfall fit in. The main focal point from the angle that we are from the walkway, as well as the 3 spots within the house, is you're facing this cut bluestone wall. So it was really hard for me in my mind to try to get a visualization of how we could make this thing work, but yet have it blend into the backdrop with the wall. So we chose to go ahead and use the same type of wall, the rock that was on the wall, built it up and created a lip type effect. And then we capped it with another piece of large stone, and so now they come in and they put some different types of potted plants on top of it, which does a great job of killing off the box effect, but it also allows us to get a good blend and a good drop also. It just really makes an incredible focal point from inside of her office, as well as the study and the exercise room downstairs. But from that point, we transition into just the natural creek bed effects with the little stepping stone that they've got a great natural walk, bringing them from the steps in the entry area over into the little courtyard. So we basically, you know, from this point, just tried to make a smooth transition into the natural effect. And I think you can agree it really did work out great.
It looks great, Chuck. Well, when we return, we will talk with our homeowner and find out if she's enjoying her upgraded outdoor room. But first, Fred Spicer has some big information on elephant ears.
Elephant ears refers to a broad group of plants that are primarily in 3 different plant genera. It's Colocasia, Alocasia, and Xanthorrhiza. Now, all the Colocaceas are referred to generically as taro. And taro is an important food in the tropics. We don't advise this at home because what we're standing in front of is a taro plant, and the part that's eaten is the roots. When I say we don't advise that you use it for food, it's because the whole plant is filled with these silica crystals. And if you were to ingest one without boiling it out 6 or 7 times and getting the paste to run clear, it would feel like your throat was covered in little shards of glass. So this is a plant not for food, but for ornamental use. This is one of the more popular ones. It has excellent hardiness, and this goes by a couple different names. It's either called Jet Black Wonder or it's called Black Magic, but probably the better name is Jet Black Wonder. Now, all these elephant ears and all the plants in this family, which are called the aroids, have a flower like a jack-in-the-pulpit. The flower is usually buried here. It's not an ornamental thing really, but very, very interesting nonetheless. The flower has 2 parts. It has a spadix, which is a little upright part where all the reproductive parts are, and it has this little sheath that covers it that's called a spathe. And as far as jack-in-the-pulpit goes, here's the little jack, and here's his pulpit. He's in a little pulpit. So I find that really interesting, very curious. Some of them smell like bananas. Another variety that we're growing here has been really, really impressive. And this is another one that's seen a temperature of 6 degrees Fahrenheit and has come back again very strong from the roots. This one is called cappuccino, and if you're a lover of highly caffeinated beverages like I am, you'll notice that it has these swirls of color in the leaves and these beautiful dark reddish purple stems. And the thing I like about this plant is if you notice how straight and strong and upright it is. It hasn't flopped over, it hasn't fallen, it's looked really, really good all summer long. And this plant is going to go until frost absolutely knocks it down. Then we'll clean up the mess and we'll wait for it to come back again next spring. There's one more real common variety that I want to show you at the end of this border, so we'll walk down here. This is a popular variety of taro, and generically it's referred to as the imperial taro. Its botanical name is illustris, which means illustrated or painted. And you can see here on the leaf it has these beautiful stains of purple that surround kind of a green edge with the green, prominent green veins. And again, this is another one that's been hardy here for us, very reliably, down to a temperature of about 6 degrees Fahrenheit. These elephant ears are real exciting. We have plenty more in the garden. So anytime you see an elephant ear, maybe you ought to try it in your garden, try it over the winter, and and see how it does for you.
We're over here at Miss Catherine Harrington's house, and we're going to take an overall review of the project and how it's gone, and really excited with what you've done, Catherine. I mean, the one unique thing that I like about this project is this is something you and your husband have done yourself, and what I like so much about that was, like you said, it allowed you and your husband time to spend together and explore nurseries, and just tell us a little bit about how you guys went and kind of took this landscaping installation on your own.
Well, we had a pond originally that wasn't quite what we wanted, and then we gradually conceived the idea of what it is now, and with your help, it sort of came into being as far as the infrastructure, which is exactly what we had hoped it would be. But I love the outdoors. Now, my husband isn't much of a sweating kind of guy. He doesn't like that much. But I've been able to convince him, since we've got shade, that this might be a good place for us to work on a project together. And he has really, really enjoyed it. I think even more than I have, because he's learned a lot about horticulture and plants. And we go to the nursery together, and he gets out here with a shovel and digs. And now he's sort of nurturing the plants. And it's still a work in progress. You can see we still got things that we're planting, but to me, a garden is always a work in progress.
Yeah.
You're always looking to add a little something here or change things. And so while it's still kind of new, it already is taking on a personality.
Yeah. One thing that I'll say, even myself, I'm hesitant, you know, because my lack of knowledge stops with the water. You know, I tell everybody, if it doesn't grow or swim in water, you know, I don't know about it. But as far as the plant selection and what you were able to pick and choose from, you just went to the nursery and just got some good help from some of the local nurseries?
Yeah, I mean, I'd had some experience in the past where a landscaper just kind of came in and planted things, and I didn't feel like we had any ownership in what was being done, and it really was not that satisfying for either of us. And so what we did was, I got books, you know, I bought a book or two and paged through them and looked at what I liked, and sometimes it wouldn't fit here. It might be something that needed a lot of sun, and so we would go to the nursery and we'd read about, you know, all of the plants had little information tags on them, and we'd read about them and see how big they would get and decide if they would fit where we wanted. And then just took a lot of pleasure in selecting things and then bringing them home and trying to decide where they would go and how well they would work in. And sometimes things that we thought we would put one place, we ended up putting someplace else.
Right.
But it's really fun to watch them thrive, and then when they don't thrive, you kind of anguish over them, which is all part of the project. It's kind of like having a room here that we're kind of working on ourselves and putting together ourselves.
Right. Well, that was one thing that I thought was really intriguing, and I had heard it spoken before of creating little vignettes or rooms within the garden itself, and you know, tell us a little bit about what you did as far as that.
Well, years ago I hung this swing. In fact, my husband wasn't too crazy about having to get up there on that ladder and hang it, but I badgered him until he did it.
Right.
I told him I was going to get up there if he didn't, and so that cinched it. So we had this area here, and it was always kind of a goal to have the sound of the water in the background, and then just make this sort of our late afternoon place where we would come, because in the back we have a lot of harsh sunlight. So this is sort of a little room. We sit here on Sunday afternoons and have friends over and just enjoy ourselves. And it is truly like an outdoor room. And so that's always been our goal. And now that we have the pond the way we'd always envisioned it would be, we really use it quite often.
Yeah, you've got another really great spot, which is up at the beginning of the waterfall and inside of the house. You know, that's, to me, is also truly spectacular. From this angle, you know, you've got a look of going upwards with the stream and kind of disappearing under the walkway that goes into the house, which is really nice. And then from the other end, you've got a totally different perspective, but the way that the waterfall cascades down and disappears under the bridge, it creates just a whole different effect and feel.
Yeah, well, Chuck, we recently did a major renovation on the house, and the architect designed this little courtyard area, but pretty much left, you know, it was just a shell, so it was kind of up to us to decide what we wanted it to become. And you'll see, as we walk up there, there's a bench up there now, and it comes off our master bedroom where my husband and I sit there and have coffee in the morning. It's a little more private, so it's kind of our sort of, you know, it sounds a little romantic, kind of our secret place there. It's not, we don't have friends up there. We sit there together and have coffee and work on, you know, projects and things. But the waterfall comes out where, from my home office, which I use most of the time, I can see it and I can hear it while I'm sitting there at my desk working. And also from my small study, I can see it and hear it. And even downstairs there's an exercise room, and there's ground level windows, and I can see and hear the waterfall from there. So it really turned into a much more satisfying element of the garden than I realized it was going to be. Chuck, Hub and I really want to thank you for all the work and time and effort that you put in creating the pond and the cascade and the waterfall. You really worked hard to give us what we wanted and what our vision was, and made a beautiful area for us then to take it the next step and provide the plants and the things that, again, made it truly ours. So thank you so much, and I know that we're going to enjoy this for years and years to come.
Well, thank you very much, and I've certainly enjoyed working with you, and I hope the viewers have enjoyed watching the progress of the show as much as I've enjoyed working with you. Thank you.
Well, another beautiful outdoor room completed with water as the focal point. We hope you enjoyed our show today. Please visit us at our website at www.backyardoasis.tv for other great ideas. We'll see you next time.
Water running down the mighty Mississippi. Oh, water. You know there's some down there more